Sir has received medical from Mysore Medical College in 1978. He has been awarded Diploma in Medical Radiation Therapy from Kidbai Memorial Institute of Oncology, Bengaluru in 1899. In 1991, he completed MD in Radiation Oncology and in 1994 obtained DNP from National Board of Examinations, New Delhi. Sir has wide range of experience as consultant oncologist and in teaching radiation oncology. He is an expert in procedures like concurrent chemotherapy and radiation protocols. He has conducted more than 150 cancer detection camps in rural areas of Mysuru and surrounding districts. He has also conducted professional programs in CMA activities of Indian Medical Association and other medical bodies. Currently, he is the Chief Radiation Oncologist and Medical Superintendent of Bharat Hospital and Institute of Oncology, Mysuru. Sir, we are pleased to have you in this session, sir. Now, moving forward, we request our principal, sir, for opening remarks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Shambhavi, for the very nice introduction and introduction of the speaker also. See, as a the preamble, the drug the repurposing is not a new thing in the field of medical sciences. But at least for the students who are here, it's a small information to you. Because you know very well, whenever we are dealing with a disease, many drugs are prescribed. And most of them are very specific. But at the same time, the same drugs can be prescribed for some other diseases. One example is the hydroxychloroquine, which was investigated mainly for the anti-malarial property. But now we can say it is being highly prescribed in case of the COVID patients, and that is after the lot of studies and on lot of what I can say the background of it. Similarly, there are few drugs which are useful in cancer. And why we are mainly stressing on cancer, the doctor will be talking a lot about it with all his vast knowledge and the details. But you know very well there are some drugs which can really compromise the immunity of a person, especially when the person is being treated with the anti-cancer therapy. And when this prevailing condition, that is COVID, main problem is immunity. See, one way we are giving the immunocompromising drug, and one way we are trying to boost up the immunity. So there is a challenge. And definitely the doctors are doing their best, to cope up with that, number one. At the same time, there are few anti-cancer drugs which are having very good effect in COVID also. It is being investigated, data reports are coming in. But let me tell you, these are only scientific reports. It is not complete evidences. The clinical trial that has been completely completed yet. So with this, we are highly thankful to Dr. Vishweshwara. We can see, despite of his busy schedule, he has come here. And he's delivering his talk here with to share his knowledge with our students, and we are highly thankful to you, sir. And at the same time, our our leader, our mentor, guide, Parsarthi sir, with us. He's always for all the good activity. Thank you for joining, sir. And I request all the students who are here and other delegates from across the country to kindly listen carefully with the speaker. The speaker, Dr. Vishweshwara is a well-known person, not only in Mysore, but the entire country, with his vast knowledge in cancer therapy, especially in radiation oncology. So I'm very sure this deliberation is going to be very much useful, and there will be a lot of carry-home messages. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I request B.S. Parthasarathi, President, Sharda Vilas Educational Institutions, Mysuru, to deliver inaugural address. Please, sir.
Good morning, everybody. Sharda Vilas Educational Institutions is committed to value-based education. I'm happy that webinar series are conducted by Sharda Vilas College of Pharmacy, a leading pharmacy students to increase their knowledge and practice towards healthcare management. Today, we have one such informative webinar on repurposing of drugs in oncology during COVID-19, presented by my friend and an alumnus of Sharda Vilas, Dr. M.S. Vishweshwara, Chief Radiation Oncologist and Medical Superintendent, Bharat Hospital and Institute of Oncology, Mysore. As cancer is the major cause of death all over the world, more than 1 million Indians suffer from cancer, and A large number of them die annually. It is therefore imperative for repurposing of drugs and the management of cancer is crucial. I'm wishing all the best for today's webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Without further ado, now I request speaker of today's webinar to deliver the talk. Over to you, sir. Sir, you're not audible, sir.
Okay, am I audible now? Okay. Should I upload the slide now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll do it. Slide is not getting uploaded, or
Sir, you can share the screen.
share the screen. Huh? Okay.
Sir, you can see three icons over there. First one is for video. Second one is for audio. Third,
Okay,
there
sir.
is a computer-like icon is there.
Okay, sir.
Please
Okay.
click on that.
Yes.
Yes. Through that you can share it.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. I'll share it now.
Yeah.
Yesterday I was able to put the slides on.
Yeah.
Now.
Yes, sir.
Sir, no problem. Sir, you can try from the other way. Right side, you can see the slides over there, sir.
Yes, sir. That's what this is the one slides. Yes. Then it
Yeah, please
shows.
click on the slide.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is something
You
disabled.
will-
Then
No.
it shows a presentation name, and there it was
Sir,
a picture of the clouding.
yes, sir. It will take some time, 1 minute
Okay.
to upload it.
Okay.
Yeah, let us wait for it. Depending upon the images, it will take 1 or 2 minutes, sir.
Okay, sir. ಮಂಜು ಕರೀತೀರಾ ಒಂಚೂರು ಅಮ್ಮ
ಅದು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್ಕಲ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ ಸರ್? ಅದು ಅಪ್ಲೋಡ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ ಸರ್?
ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಸ್ಲೈಡ್
ಸರ್, ಈಗ ನೀವು ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಷನ್ ನೇಮ್ ಅಂತ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ,
ಅಲ್ಲಿ
ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಫೈಲ್ ನೇಮ್
ಓಕೆ
ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಸರ್?
ಓಕೆ, ಹಾಕಿದ್ರಿ ನಾವು.
ಅದ್ರ
ಅಪ್ಲೋಡ್
ಪಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಐಕಾನ್
ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ,
ಅಪ್ಲೋಡ್
ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ.
1 ನಿಮಿಷ ತಗೊಳುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್.
ಓಕೆ ಸರ್. ಓಕೆ ಸರ್, ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ.
So we have people not only from India, sir, we have from abroad also, 1 or 2 people.
Now should I for preview go back, sir? Start presentation. Start.
start button.
Start
Yes,
ಮಾಡಲಾ?
yes sir, it's visible. Yes sir. No, ಮತ್ತೆ ವಾಪಸ್ ಬಂತು ಸರ್.
ಓಕೆ, ಬಂತಾ ಸರ್ ಈಗ?
ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅದನ್ನ ಕ್ಲಿಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಸರ್. Yes sir. Yes sir.
ಬಂದಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ?
Perfect sir.
ಓಕೆ ಓಕೆ
ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಸರ್, ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ.
ಓಕೆ.
Please, please.
First of all, sorry for this technical snag, and my heartfelt thanks to the President, Sharda Vilas Institutions, Dr. Parsathy Orge, and my personal thanks to Principal Dr. Joshi, and who spoke good words about me, Dr. Shambhavi. I am an alumni of Sharda Vilas College Institution, so I'm very happy so that you have involved me in the institutional activities where academics are involved. I'm very much happy, and I would like to share my views during this COVID era, how we manage it. Why it is so important in oncology is because cancer patients are already at risk. As we know, the diabetics, cancer patients, renal patients are at risk because their basic immunity is at risk. So once the immunity is already less, then they're easy to catch these infections. And sometimes it's difficult to distinguish the regular symptoms with that of COVID infection. Why it is important means that once a patient comes with COVID symptoms and along with the disease also, he's likely to spread the COVID part of it. Fortunately, God has made that cancer doesn't spread from one to another. Otherwise, everybody would have been affected with cancer by this time, like tuberculosis, which was seen so many years back. So the COVID part, definitely he'll shift it to others. So that is the most important thing. And all treating patients, treating health workers will be in trouble, and the total care would be a chaos. So that is the major issue. And the second one is, when they develop COVID during the treatment, what should we do? That's very important. When they come to the hospital, whether they have got COVID or not, what do we do? So all these issues are there, and these are the practical issues we have gone through in past few months. I would like to share, and I would like to invite all your suggestions and advice to improvise the situation, because nobody has got the right. This is right or left. There is no black and white. It's only a gray zone. We are all learning in this area. So conventionally, we have divided our oncology set of patients into high priority, medium priority, and low priority people. High priority, where the patient condition is immediately life-threatening, clinically unstable, then we have to take them as a high priority patients and immediately offer the treatment and then take care of these things. Sister? And medium priority patient situation is non-critical, but delay beyond 6 weeks may not be advisable, because we are worried about oncology also, which is increasing, the oncological part also, which is troubling the patient. Low priority patients are very well safe, elderly people who are very, very stable. That comes under low priority patients. So if we broadly categorize these into high priority, medium priority, and low priority, then we can categorize our patients and try to devise certain principles and certain guidelines to such patients. ESMO has made a strong recommendation. ESMO means European Society of Medical Oncology has given a recommendation. It's only a recommendation. Believe me, recommendation means it need not be followed pin to pin and letter to letter. It has to be very much customized according to the country, time, and the situation. So in cancer patients, categories of risk, as we know, patient receiving chemotherapy or who have received chemotherapy in last 3 months. The reason very well we know, because they are already immunocompromised patient. And also patient receiving radiation therapy, because they all these agents try to lower the immunity of the patient, wherein which they are having more risk for this infection to come into the body. So, and people who have got bone marrow transplants within 6 months for acute leukemia and things like that, that's very important, because they are also very much vulnerable for these infections to get into their body. specific risk groups which impaired immune systems are when the patients have got low blood counts. Well, I'm seeing everybody knows that blood count is normal white cell count is 2000 to 4000. We are seeing blood counts around 200. So you can imagine 200. So they are the persons who are in trouble. Low immunoglobulin levels, like disease like multiple myeloma and things like that, they already have got low immunoglobulin levels, normal immunoglobulin levels. That's why they are prone for infection. So, and also long-lasting immunosuppressive drugs, steroids, antibodies, monoclonal antibodies. So these are the categories. Whenever they come with cough, fever, sore throat, it may be a part of the disease. Remember, difficulty in breathing and sore throat may be a problem of the esophagus or of the lungs. At the same time, it may be a problem as it is referred to a COVID infection also. So these are the things we have to very well categorize and then try to differentiate and treat them accordingly. So the mantra is to gain the risk versus benefit. See, this is the coronavirus and this is the cancer. So whether we treat here or treat corona, so it has to be balanced. It's very important. We have to balance treatment of corona as well as malignancy. So which precedes the other one depends upon the individual case-to-case basis. If the patient is at high risk of malignancy, treat the malignancy first. If the patient is high risk of corona, treat the corona first. And we can always take this oncology treatment at a second half of the patient. So we have to balance with these things, which is the general principle in treating such patients. The very few questions what we have in our mind is very important. Which group of patients should be offered face-to-face consultations? Teleconsultation was not popular hitherto. Now, you know, webinars, teleconsultations, everything has been started. Personally, I was not for teleconsultation because the personal touch of the patient is very important. But nowadays, thinking the situation, teleconsultation has got its own place. Telehealth and digital health technology is an excellent tool for real-time video consultations. Only it should be used for a treatment of a long-term patient management, follow-up patients. And in like this health education, diet monitoring, health assessment, medication adherence. So these are the indications only we can use the teleconsultations. The clinical examination, the patient assessment will not replace teleconsultation. Teleconsultation, as I've told, only is preferable for such conditions because personal examination and treatment decisions has to be taken with the patient next to the bedside. Does all cancer patients need to be tested for COVID before admitting to the hospital? See, there are many complaints as no. Doctors or hospitals are not taking inside the hospital without checking their COVID. When we see technically, when we see scientifically, whenever it is feasible, it is better to test for COVID before admitting and before providing them a good service. Because the problem is, once they're coming in, if we do not know they are positive, and if they're spreading the infection to the whole medical unit, you can imagine the whole medical unit gets closed. And further services of that medical unit will no longer be available for any further patients. But because of the financial reasons, because of everything, now you know all the political reasons, everything, people do not want to get tested for COVID when they come before to the hospital for admission. Because if one patient positive in the ward, you can spread it to everybody. So then the whole staff will get infected, the healthcare staff, and as well as other patients, and everybody will be quarantined and the whole services will be stopping. So this is the major threat. So that scientifically speaking, whenever a patient of oncology, before getting admitted into the hospital, has to be screened for COVID test. Preventive measures for the healthcare. It is just like that. This is not a new thing. When HIV or retroviral diseases came, we all been taught that take precautions whenever you're seeing a patient unless otherwise proved. So you treat everybody is at risk, and then better to take personal protective equipment has to be there and shall be provided to all healthcare people with eye protection, gowns, surgical mask, everything should be done. And if they become symptomatic, definitely they undergo for swab test. So there is no argument telling that no, I didn't had the PPE, even then I examined the patient. That is the mistake, or it is the responsibility of the healthcare worker. So he is responsible for his own infection. If he is not protected, it is his headache. So we have to be knowledgeable in getting a protection for the healthcare workers, so that they will be healthy in providing the service to others. Most of these oncology patients, they have thromboembolic events. So here what our principals said, that any drugs to be used, repurposing of drugs to be in oncology, because of basic DIC formation with the oncology patients, they are at thromboembolic events. So, and associated complications and vessel obstruction and inflammatory syndromes. Prophylaxis, definitely we are using it. So the prophylactic drug doesn't make any adverse effect during this COVID era, so that the regular novel anticoagulant drugs can be utilized for these people. What should be the workup for the patients with radiological evidence of pneumonitis? See, a person comes with cough, a person comes with fever, for any other thing, then chest X-ray should show some pneumonitis. Should we consider it as SARS positive or negative? That's important. Not all patients will be positive. So for a differential diagnosis of an immune pneumonitis, because we are doing a lot of immune checkpoint inhibitor drugs are being given for cancer patients nowadays. So they are very much responsible for pneumonitis. So we have to differentiate between the pneumonitis due to a immune checkpoint inhibitors or with a SARS pneumonitis. The swabs from the nasopharynx would help us to differentiate. If negative, the bronchoalveolar lavage to be taken and try to see, to differentiate between the immune-related adverse events or for COVID. So because these treatments go parallelly and they look similar, so we cannot turn a patient, you have got COVID without proper evidence. Very important. The drug, most importantly, what we are using is tyrosine kinase inhibitors. Everybody knows the usage of tyrosine kinase inhibitors. They block the PI3, AKT, mTOR pathways or RAS-RAF-MEK pathways to modulate the immune response. It's very much the drugs are used. For example, imatinib in chronic myeloid leukemia, and many other drugs. We are using EGFR inhibitors like osimertinib in lung cancer. All these drugs are TKI inhibitors. They try to reduce the immunity because it can interfere with the critical pathways involved in innate or adaptive immune responses. So a decision to be taken to withhold the therapy with these TKIs. TKIs should be used very cautiously in such patients where they are already been treated, so that we can switch over the to the other drugs rather than continuing, and later on we can think of rescheduling with the earlier drugs. How do we prioritize the adjuvant therapies? How do we do? Most important cancers have taken. Breast cancer, what do we do? In a curative setting, if the patient is curable and does require adjuvant systemic chemotherapy, to be discussed in a multidisciplinary team, and significant delays should be avoided. 6 weeks delay is sufficient. More than 6 weeks delay should be avoided. And then with immunosuppressive growth factor support and immunosuppressive regimens which are less aggressive can be used in such patients. But nevertheless, delay should not be there in such curative intent. But whenever coming to lung cancer, because lung cancer is an important issue, the symptoms, the signs, the X-ray picture may be similar to COVID patients, especially in stage 2 and stage 3 non-small cell carcinoma, which has got basal pneumonitis, consolidation. So such things like that, which are very much difficult to diagnose. But I've shown in the previous slide, they have to be differentially diagnosed with the help of a nasopharyngeal swab or a bronchoalveolar lavage to exclude our COVID infection and then go directly to the concerned disease management. So without significant comorbidities in young patients, we need to start neoadjuvant chemo followed by surgery. So this neoadjuvant chemotherapy would buy us some time, probably another 3 to 4 months. Then we can plan for surgery in such patients. For rectal cancers, when we are practicing neoadjuvant radiation therapy, normally we go for 4 to 5 weeks. So, but the problem here is in radiation, we treat around 80 patients per day. They come to the radiation therapy department in a linear accelerator, and you can know the importance, how many, when the patients are crowded, the spread of infection, we do not know which patient has got COVID positive and which patient is negative. So we have adopted a principle that every 3 hours, the linear accelerator complex, the room and everything, they're sanitized. And they're all given appointments, and each patients are not mixed up. And the short course radiation therapy, so that we can finish the radiation fast by using hypofractionation scheme, is being utilized to avoid congestion and to avoid the mixing up of the people. So radiation is one of the things wherein which large number of people are treated. The whole area has to be monitored and sanitized on a regular basis to prevent the spread from one to another. So we are taking up asymptomatic radiation patients. If they become symptomatic, they have to undergo COVID test, and then only they have to continue the treatment depending upon the results. So this is an important thing issue. And one more thing is, whenever radiation is given, it stimulates the environment in the internal organs so that they become immune active. That's also one of the positive points in radiation. For example, in lung cancer, when they give concurrent chemo and radiation therapy, the immune system is generated, and then they're going for maintenance therapy. This is the reason nowadays a new drug which is called as durvalumab. It is a monoclonal antibody. It's an immuno agent. It has been utilized after the radiation so that the immunity, immune cells, T cell mediated immunity is been increased after a course of radiation. So when we come to the breast cancer, once again, common malignancies, we have again gone to the principle of high priority, medium priority, and low priority. High priority is post-operative patient, unstable, and in the clinical scenario, we have to be careful. And medium priority is non-invasive, newly diagnosed cancers. And the low priority is established patients, already known patients, they're already on treatment, so they are low priority. So they can be put on follow-ups at a later date. But the patients with post-operative unstable clinical scenario, they have to come to the doctor immediately. These patients, the low priority, can be allotted teleconsultation. Whenever we diagnose new patients, the high priority comes to this breast cancer diagnosis during pregnancy is a high priority patient. And post-operative visits with no complications are also at a medium priority. Low priority comes to follow-up patients as discussed earlier. So what I would like to highlight is post-operative patients immediately after treatment, they come under high priority. And when they come for newly diagnosed, the cancer diagnosed during pregnancy is important because both the mother and the child are at risk with the infection. So priorities in diagnostics, that comes to diagnosis. First is coming to the physician or coming to the hospital. The second thing is diagnosis. Whenever a lady diagnoses herself a breast lump or symptoms suggest to a malignancy, it becomes high priority because that has to be diagnosed and no delay has to be happening. And medium priority, when already screening has happened, and then we can keep it as medium priority. And if the mammography is suspicious, and that can be going for a low priority. Pathological assessment is important, based on the abnormal mammogram, because I told already the symptoms are suggestive of malignancy. Immediately pathology has to be taken up and biopsy has to be done. So initial metastatic workup can be done at a medium priority. So these are the patients when it comes to diagnosis. And when it comes to the early breast cancer, high priority is, as I told, curable malignancies. Adjuvant therapy, neoadjuvant therapy, they all are coming under high priority. And low priority is with low symptoms, regular follow-ups definitely follow this. And medium priority for a postmenopausal woman with hormonal treatment, they can be given as a medium priority. They can be on and off consultations, and even we can be delivering that monoclonal antibodies in such patients. One of the important monoclonal antibody is trastuzumab. All these monoclonal antibodies, they interfere with the immunity. It has to be utilized with caution, and then to be utilized with very much on a customized basis, not to compromise the outcome of the patient. When it comes to metastatic disease, second line and third line can wait, but first line chemotherapy or endocrine therapy has to be done with high priority. And a condition called visceral crisis, because whenever there is a metastatic disease which is already compromising the function of the liver or lung, that has to be taken on an immediate basis. Asymptomatic patients can always come under low priority. So we should avoid mTOR inhibitors, PIK3CA inhibitor, as I've discussed earlier, as a medium priority whenever there is a visceral crisis of these patients. These are the guidelines which tell us with the basic principle that we have to keep the balance of the COVID and the malignancy at everything. Now things are slowly moving, and we do not know when this pandemic will end. So recommendation as a whole, decision for treatment initiation or continuation must be discussed with the uninfected patients, and it has to be discussed with the family and explaining the proper risk and benefit explanation. And we have to prioritize adjuvant therapies, discuss the benefit of palliative therapies, and optional regime has to be taken up. And we have to avoid tyrosine kinase inhibitors, and telephonic consultations should be utilized for follow-up and low priority patients. And shorter or hypofractionated radiation therapy to be discussed with the radiation oncologist and also with the patients, so that the patient crowding is avoided in the linear accelerator complex. So definitely this is not the end of the discussion. Things may change over a period of time unless this infection comes to a control. So these are the principles we are adopting practically also in our hospital, giving right appointments and avoiding the patients with unnecessary visits to the patient to the hospital, and keeping the minimum distance even in OPDs also, and keeping our waiting hall to a minimum. Earlier the waiting hall was full with 100 members. Now only patient is being allowed and one attendant with the patient is allowed. These are the practices has been taken care with personal hygiene of the healthcare workers. Most important thing is healthcare worker. If one healthcare worker is infected, he is quarantined for 14 days and his service is totally not be available for the rest of the patients. So if we try to do all kinds of things, then we may have to stop the medical services, so that we have to take care of both the patient as well as the health workers, keeping in mind of the severity of this, virulity of this infection. Probably in coming days, these things, the virulence of the virus may come down. And finally, the key is, we have forgotten, the key is personal hygiene, distance maintaining, which we learned from long back. Now we are relearning these lessons with this coming of this pandemic. So with this note, I thought that it was my pleasure to share a few thoughts into this forum. Thank you for patient listening. Anything we can discuss and try to learn from each other is welcome, because it is a continuous learning process. Nobody is perfect in this. Everybody is learning and trying to change. You can see many of the policies have changed as far as district administration also. Similarly, our health recommendations also should be adoptable from time to time. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you for the informative session, sir. Now we have few questions asked by our participants. We'll be
Please.
presenting it on the slides.
Please.
Yes, sir. And the first question goes like this: does the history of cancer rise health complications from COVID-19?
Does a history of cancer rise health risk? Yes, health com. Yes, definitely. This I discussed sometime back in this thing also. We know we are all talking of immune boosters and things like that. Everybody is giving immune therapy. Everybody is taking turmeric and this thing. Our major idea of treating COVID is to increase the immunity. But the basic pathology in a malignancy is reduced immunity. So that is why they are placed under a high risk group, because patients with malignancies are already immunocompromised. So upon that, if this infection is also there, definitely the complications are more. And these patients are at risk of getting infected with COVID. That's the reason we don't want them to visit the hospital regularly, to have teleconsultation. But as I told about, with a few exceptions, they have to come to the hospital. Definitely, there is an increase of COVID infection with the oncological background. Does having received chemotherapy radiation in the past? Yes, definitely. Yes. That is what I told you. If the new patient is diagnosed with cancer, should they postpone? I've put that first slide itself: high priority, medium priority, and low priority. You have to categorize those patients. If there is a curative intent, don't postpone, please. If there is a medium advanced, we can postpone 6 weeks, not more than 6 weeks. And if it is under follow-up, definitely we can do a teleconsultation. Definitely do not postpone the treatment if it's a curative. With all precautions, with all risks, we have to continue the treatment. But unnecessary visits, unnecessary things can be avoided.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the informative session. Now I invite Mr. Vinay Kola, Assistant Professor, Sharda Vilas College of Pharmacy, to propose vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to thank Dr. Vishweshwara sir for sharing his valuable and spendy knowledge along with us today. Thank you, sir, for providing information regarding the role of immunity with respect to the COVID era, and precautions need to be considered during cancer patients' admissions in hospitals, and in detail about the personal protection need to be taken by healthcare professionals. And finally, the treatment decision recommendations, which are importantly taken under consideration nowadays. I would like to thank Sri B.S. Parthasarathy sir, President, Sharda Vilas Institutions, for inaugurating today's program. And I would like to thank Dr. Harmantachar Joshi sir, Principal, Sharda Vilas College of Pharmacy, for providing this opportunity and supporting us to make this webinar a great success. I also thank all my colleagues of SVCP for their support. And last but not the least, I thank each and every delegate who ever participated and spared their time today. So here we comes to the end of this session, and all the certificates will be provided to the delegates through their email, through a feedback form. And here we appreciate you, Doctor, for your time and your knowledge and sharing your knowledge with us. And this is a virtual presentation for you, and we will send you the same.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks for everybody. Thanks for the patient.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vishweshwar sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Namaskar. Thank you.
Sir, we are not able to give the certificate in hand. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, thanks to all. Bye.